Hello YouTubers. I'm making a series of 3 videos, starting with this as number 1. I'm going to give you the lowdown on why your 5.3 liter 08 Chevrolet Silverado has a misfire if you've had a recent lifter replacement at a shop somewhere. And this could be from 07 to 13 with the 5.3 liter. I took my truck into a shop, Potter City Garage, Minden, Louisiana, December 21st, 2016. Had a lifter tapping and a check engine, a misfire on cylinder number 6, P0306, specific to the cylinder. Sure enough, it was lifter tapping. I hired Potter's City Garage in Minden, Louisiana to replace my lifters. Since that day, I got it back on the 23rd. The lifters were replaced. Cylinder number 6 was not misfiring, but cylinder number 1 was. The mechanic, Brian Dyson, told me that either the throttle body or throttle position sensor or gas pedal or computer were bad. Period. That was his only explanation. I've never had a misfire anywhere on my vehicle except for this time when I definitely heard the lifter tapping. So I replaced the throttle body, the throttle position sensor, the gas pedal. I had a dealership replace the computer, programmed it. None of that fixed anything. In the meantime, I replaced spark plug wires, removed all the, I swapped coil packs from cylinder 1 to cylinder 3. That didn't fix it. I swapped injectors, cylinder 1, cylinder 3. It didn't move the misfire. I traced all the wires back to the computer looking for a grounded wire, a short in the ground wire. No shorts, nowhere. I spent over $1,200 trying to fix it, going by what Brian said. So what I ended up doing is taking it apart myself. I seen a video on YouTube about lifters being turned around backwards. Now these are the active fuel management lifters. Cylinder 1, 7, and 4 and 6 on the other side have the special lifters that changes your truck from V8 to V4. I also replaced the VLOM plate valve lifter oil manifold, which supplies oil to these lifters. The oil sending unit that pressurizes these lifters. Absolutely everything I could think of. I talked to mechanics everywhere. So anyway, I tore it down. Me and my son tore it down this past Friday night, which was the 15th or 16th, whatever it was. And it was Friday the 13th. That's right. Good luck day for me. I found, after I tore it down, lifters were backward. Cylinder number 1, the lifters were backward. You'll see that in the 3rd video. I also found that the heads were not cleaned at all. The surface where they bolt back to the block was not cleaned. The surface where the intake manifold and exhaust manifolds bolt back on, they were not cleaned at all. I found 2 broken bolts in the head, stuck in the head, that bolt where the exhaust manifold bolt on. Now that is, you have to stop right now and repair that. You have to. I had over 12 inches of exposed of exhaust manifold that could not be bolted back on. A severe exhaust leak. Head bolts were not replaced. You're supposed to replace head bolts. They are stretched to the max at the factory. Anyway, also, there was no Permatex put on the old head bolts that you put back in. You're supposed to put Permatex on about 1.25 inches of the threads. It keeps coolant from leaking past, getting into your oil, or leaking out of the truck, out of the block. Out of the head. Anyway, the head bolts on the left side, number 11 through 15, they go right across the top after you have torque down 1 through 10, 11 through 15 get tightened up. They had no torque whatsoever. I didn't even need a ratchet to get them off. I just put an extension with a socket on it and they twisted. They come right off. No torque at all. One of the valve cover bolts was not even threaded into the hole. It was just sitting there shaking in the valve cover. When you do this, you have to pull the fuel rail off, pull the fuel injectors out. 3 of the injectors on the right-hand side had O-rings that were no good at all. They were severely damaged. He put it right back together. Terrible mechanic work. But also, he didn't change the engine oil. There was probably a quart of water / coolant in the engine oil. Terrible mechanic work. Potter's City Garage, Minden, Louisiana. The next video will show you what it looks like if you have backward lifters that have been put in backward. You'll see that the rocker arms will start right at first when you try to crank it, and then as soon as it cranks, they stop. It's very easy to identify after you've figured out what you're looking for, of course, which took me about 70 hours. So anyway, part 2 will show you that, and then part 3 will show you the head coming off and the lifters in backward, so you'll know what they look like. Okay, thanks.